I've been working like in this tech domain from almost 5 years right now. I have worked with a lot of different products, and I'm into this blockchain space from almost 2 years ago, right? And currently, I'm working with Parcel, which is basically a crypto payroll solutions for DAOs, and we are building that product, right? And in like community, I'm basically the co-founder of community, and in community, I usually deal with all the um, course related stuff, right? We used to build courses around Solidity, blockchain development, and Solana, right? And yeah, so we have already done two batches earlier. Our Solana batch is already ongoing, like it's currently in pause, but yeah, we'll be
Hello, can
moving
you hear me?
forward with lot. Sorry.
Hello.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. I think I lost you for a minute there.
Oh, okay. Okay. No issues. Yeah. So yeah,
Yeah,
this is what we're doing at community and what I am, right? So yeah.
yeah. Thank you for that brief intro. And yeah, so to dive in deep, today's topic is the crucial one, the Web3 revolution and what you need to know. This is
Yeah.
something every tech and developer person needs to know. And I think a lot of times when I meet tech dev that mentioned that they are yet to transition to
Mm,
Web3, it's quite amazing to see that because the pace at which this is going, I think
yeah.
everyone needs to get involved and also know what this is all about. And yeah, it's quite an interesting topic. So I have some set of questions, and this is a QA
Yeah.
section. So audience, please, if you have question, you can type it in the chat box, and I'll take it from there to also ask our guests today. But today I have a list of questions, and I'll start from the number one question, which is
Sure.
tell us what Web3 is and how does it differ from the current web everyone knows.
Okay. Yeah, just to answer that question, I would say that Web3 is a set of principles that basically supports decentralization, trustless, and building softwares which are more secure, transparent, and like if anyone is using that, right, so they have the authority of their data, right? So if you think of the current situation in the current web, right, we have products like Facebook, Google, Amazon's, right? So these companies are actually, if you already know, like these guys are dealing with your privacy, they are taking your data, using that for obviously for user increasing your user experience, but you internally you all know that that data is being misused at some place, right? And that is one of the major reason why Web3 came into the picture, to solve all these issues related to transparency, data privacy, and then obviously the decentralization thing, right? Because if the companies are centralized, right, they are being controlled by a single authority, which is for a longer run not good, right? So what decentralization is basically is it allow you to allow users or the contributors of the apps to have some participation in terms of in terms of decision making of any company, right? So these are all the principles that Web3 supports, and that and it is how different from the current web, right? So yeah.
Yeah, thank you. That sounds quite interesting. And for those who don't know what Web3 is, I think this gives an insight into what Web3 is. The next question says, what are some of the key features of Web3 technology and Web3 technology that are driving this revolution?
Yeah.
What are the key features?
Yes. So I would say that Web3 is not all about blockchain, right? So if we talk specifically about Web3 technology, Web3 you can consider as a new internet, right? And every technology which is coming right now, whether it be blockchain, whether it be AI, generative AIs, we are seeing like a lot of mid journeys, and the chat GPT is like a huge revolution in the AI industry, right? So all those technologies which are basically making product easier to build, right, and the increasing the user experience by moving forward from the regular or typical web 2 websites or apps, right, which does not know how to interact with users, right? So we are basically moving toward these technologies to build up, like if you can say that AI is being used in most of the apps today, right? Like there are chatbots, there are other things, right?
Yeah.
So these are the new technologies which are coming, right? And then we have VR, AR, augmented reality, right? And then graphics, animation. These are the technologies which are coming into picture, and they are basically revolutionizing the web and the current application development as a Web3 technologies.
Oh, perfect. Thank you. Yeah, that sinks in. The third question goes, how would Web3 impact the current landscape of internet and online interactions?
Okay. If I talk about the impact, right? The impact that Web3 is trying to make is on mostly on the front of the financial side and the application layer, right? And people are trying to build app which basically like Web3 when blockchain came, right? The major application of the blockchain is in fintech industry, right? But now it started moving to different domains also. You can see the use case, the implementation of blockchain in like in health industries, in supply chain industries, in digital asset industries, right? Like NFTs are coming to the picture. So these are the areas where Web3 is basically creating the impacts right now. And it's like there is another phase also, like you can say, like I have listened about a lot of scams and frauds, other things, right, which are coming also into the picture. So that is some bad impact which is also being created, but that is because people are not aware of these things, like because this is a completely new technology, right? And people are not aware how to use that, right? So it basically creates both side of effects, right? Like a good effects also and the bad effects also. But once people start educating themselves, and then they will be able to understand that this technology completely, right, then obviously the impact is going to be good and in a good direction, right? So yeah.
Yeah, sounds interesting. I think I'll just take a look into the chat. We have
Yeah.
Astro. He's asking a question, and the question is, how can Web3 help e-commerce?
Okay. uh so I can say that e-commerce for now does not have an exact implementation which Web3 can support, right? You can build an e-commerce app upon blockchain, but it does not really solve the purpose. So applications that are data sensitive, right? So if you talk about financial application, like if you're transferring money, right, so that is a very data sensitive application, right? And so those kinds of applications, suppose consider a logistic application where there will be a tracking of vessels, right? That is also very data sensitive. If you're using social media, right, your information is very data sensitive, right? So in those places where data is the main thing, right, and maintaining transparency and decentralization is the main key, in those places Web3 adds value, right? It's not that Web3 can replace everything, right? We are still going to see Web2 applications like e-commerce and all those things, but in some places we obviously can move to the Web3, and it will be a combination of Web2 and Web3 both. It is not like that, like everything can replace everything, right? So it is not going to be like that.
Oh, okay. Yeah, Astro, I think you have your answer there. If you have additional question, please you can just drop it in the chat, and
Yeah.
for the rest of the audience, you can also drop it. Yeah, I think this is one of the interesting questions here, and it's what are the potential benefits and risk associated with Web3 technologies?
Okay. Yep. So if I talk about the benefits and the risk, right? So whenever a new technology came, right, in the market, right, there are some who are the first comers, right? They know, they understand the technology, they build some products, right? And then they distributed it to the consumers. Now consumer who don't know what Web3 or new technology is, they started using those products, right? And there will be always a risk to get scammed, right? So in Web3 space there are a lot of scams if you go out, right? Like people are just going out and just trying to fetch everyone's money, right? So there are a lot of scams also, so always the risk is high when it comes to any new technology, whether it be JavaScript, whether it be anything, right? When it is not, when people are not aware of those things, right? So the risk is high. But if you talk about benefits also, right? So currently we have a really big application which is basically known as decentralized finance, right? So if you talk about the current finance that we deal with, it has like lot of compliances, tax issues, other things, right? But if you talk about decentralized finance, it currently owned by, like, the your money is owned by you only, right? You don't have to pay taxes, you don't have to deal with compliances, right? Whatever you are earning is yours, right? So these are some of the benefits. And if your data, and if suppose there is something which is data sensitive, right, and if it is transparent and trusted by public, right? So these are all the benefits that it adds, right? So I can say that it comes with both benefits and risk, right? But the user has to educate themselves to use the technology in the right way. And obviously if something new comes, you have to pay some amount of efforts and other things, right, to understand this and make you comfortable with the new technologies.
Yeah, I think I'm also going to support that.
Yeah,
Uh, there are a lot of new things coming out from the internet, and most especially within the Web3 space. So if you're
yeah,
an individual and you're trying to come into the Web3 space, or you're already in the Web3 space, you need to make your research and make sure what you are getting involved in is legally right and is legit, so that you don't
yeah,
get scammed. I think that is the major problem within the space. So
right.
the number five question then we go is how will the Web3 change the way we think about privacy and security online? Very
Okay.
important.
Yeah. So when I talk about privacy and security, right? So the major principle of bringing Web3 or decentralization is to support privacy and security. So if you if you consider this typical way of using a Web3, like you have an online identity, which is your wallet address, right? And that is never situated or basically correlated to your real identity, right? So whatever person you are in real life, you are not online the same person, right? You are using a different wallet, and that wallet will be served as your identity on chain, right? So first thing, you are not expressing your real identity on chain or online, right? So it is basically maintaining your privacy. Also, the privacy policies of the Web3 apps are very secure, right? They are not using your data or any kind of resources from without asking you, right? Everything what you are doing is secure, right? And if you talk about the security, right, Ethereum serves a very high level security layer. Like if you are transferring money from this place to another place, right, there is no possibilities of fault tolerance, right? So if you are transferring money, it will be very secure. It has to be like go through all the process of proof verification and everything, right? So it also supports the security, right? So I think that might answer this question.
Yeah, thank you for that straight to the point, and yeah, quite informative. Can you
Yeah.
describe some specific use case for Web3 technology?
Yeah, I think that is a good question, and I think that will also solve a lot of clutter, right? So when Web3 came, right, so Bitcoin was the first blockchain that came into the picture, and it is a complete financial blockchain. Like Bitcoin is used to deal with uh like lot bigger transactions and lot of amount of money, right? And then Ethereum's is basically the next second biggest blockchain, which comes to on which you can develop applications, right? And then the finance sector become the one of the biggest use case of Web3 technology, like and that eventually come up as a decentralized finance, right? Now, finance, I can say the biggest use case, and then we have like Web3 in social media right now, and the asset management, right? So whatever your digital assets are, you can create NFTs for that. You can have ownership of your data, right? So all are the other use cases, right? And then probably any sector, like if you talk about health sector and hospitality sectors, right? Uh, the reports, the medical reports of any criminal activity or something like that, right? So those are very data sensitive information, and if those got changed, the result would be very different, right? So if you are adding those reports and every that data into the blockchain, no one can change that, right? Without everyone's permissions. So that is one use case that you can use in logistics. You can also use Web3, right? So lot, and in accountings also, like in tax and all those things, people have started using Web3 also. So there are like many use cases coming into the picture, but one of the major use cases is always going to be the finance. So yeah.
Yeah, interesting. I think we have another question from Astro.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm going to go for this first, but let me read out the question. It's asking, is Web3 a revolution or just a scam? Do you think
Mm.
Web3 is going to be in the future? Let me go with this. Astro, Web3 is the future. Let's start by that. And when you look at what we are doing at CodeMonk,
Mm.
we are a Web3 platform. We are planning to fully go into that. And it's more like a decentralized place where you have access to what you actually want. So it's not like where we have decentralized people where you have things that are sent to you by their own accord, and you don't have a restriction to what you want to see. So Web3 is the future, and Web3 is not a scam. I think everybody should embrace Web3, and yeah. So please, you can quickly also chip in to this.
Yeah. Yeah, I think what Paul said is definitely right. Like Web3 is not going to be a scam right? So anytime. I have been working closely with Web3 applications and this decentralized architecture. As a developer, I understand that this is just a revolution of technology, right? So like it happens from a longer time. Like earlier we have HTML, CSS to develop websites. Then React, JavaScript came into the picture, right? People started creating different kinds of application, right? So it is just an upgrade over the current architecture, right? And Web3 is never going to be a scam because it supports all those principles like data privacy, security, decentralization, transparency, right? Trustless security, right? So all those things they are trying to promote using the architecture of blockchain. So yeah, it is going to take time to understand and adjust these new things, right? And until that, there are going to be scams. Scams can actually happens in any space, right? So if you talk about JavaScript, or if you talk about the current Web2 environment, you can also build phishing websites, get the data of other people, right? You can do scams in the current space also. You don't need to go to Web3 to do the scams, right? So scams can be done in any space. It's nothing like that Web3 is going to be the scam creator, right? So it's just like Web3 is new. People are trying to take advantage of new people, right? Who are not aware of these technology. That's why we and CodeMonk are the companies which are trying to actually uh, um, like spread the knowledge around Web3 and what other technology is coming, because we are the first comers and we understand this technology now, and we want everyone to explain this and how it works, right? So yeah, it is not going to be scam for sure. It is going to be a revolution for sure down the line, 5 years, 10 years. But currently it's like revolving, right? It's evolving, right? And we are still developing a lot of features and everything to support those things, right? So yeah.
Yeah, I think that is quite detailed enough. Astro, please, Web3 is the future. We should also embrace it. So the next question, how will Web3 impact the way businesses and organizations operate online?
Yep. I think to answer this question, we have a very pretty good concept which is known as DAOs. I'm not sure if you guys are aware of that, right? So in current situation, how you have, if you wanted to start a company, right, or an organization, you have to do the compliances, state registrations, and everything. In whether in whatever country you are or in states you are, yeah, you have to pay taxes. You have to manage lots of things, right? And that basically becomes a friction to start a business, right, or an organization, right? But how Web3 actually trying to change it? So there is a concept of decentralized autonomous organizations, which is basically known as DAOs, right? So DAOs are nothing. These are just the companies which are created on the architecture of blockchain, right? And these are the organization and businesses which are running uh, right now. Like I know more than thousands of DAOs which are currently running, and they don't have to deal with any taxes. Government cannot control them, regulate them, right? And they can do whatever they want based on their rules and whatever their contributor wants, right? So it obviously revolutionizing the organization and business architecture, right? And the DAOs, I know, like they are dealing with like billions and trillions of dollars right now, right? So this space is very huge, right? And businesses are growing into this. Like I've seen like a very rapid number of increasing growth in DAO sector, right? People are registering their company rather than a typical company. They're going for a DAO because they don't have to deal with taxes, they don't have to deal with government regulations and all those stuff, right? So I think this is going to be a very interesting topic to see for me as well, like how this evolve, like how this organization and business thing evolve in future. So yeah, I think that would answer your question.
Yeah, thank you for that. Yeah, please, if you're in the audience and you have any question, you can just type it in on the chat box, and I'm going to read it out to speaker so that he can answer your question. Yeah, the next question would actually be, what are some of the key challenges or barriers to adoption of Web3 technologies?
Okay. Yeah, I think the barriers and the challenges would be a lot for now. So people, whenever we talk about blockchain or Web3, right, people usually say that it's cryptocurrencies, trading, right? And like coins, all those things, right? People, most of them only know about these things. They don't even know that you can build and softwares over Web3, right? You can build new technologies and products over Web3. So I think there is very less educational content out there, right? Because this is new space and people are still exploring this space, right? So the educational content and the courses, we don't have that much experienced courses out there, right? So that this becomes a barrier. And yeah, if people are started exploring things, once they have experience in this space, once they started learning about this space, right, they will start basically creating some courses on YouTube and on some different educational platforms, right? So that will solve that issue. But for now, the barrier is basically the lack of knowledge, right? And obviously the the less resources available, right? So I think that would be the two major barrier to understand the adoption of Web3.
Yeah, I'm going to support that because, like I mentioned earlier, when we started this event, the program, I mentioned that a lot of developers are yet to embrace the technology,
Yeah.
Web3, and so with more educational content made available for developers and individuals that are interested in becoming a Web3 enterprise, is going to help us, we that believe in Web3, to also help them, onboard them to Web3, and be able to have everybody embrace the term Web3 and
Yes.
start believing in it. Yeah, so that is uh, that is about the question. Let's move on to uh,
Yeah.
the next one. And the next one says, how can you ensure that Web3 are accessible and usable for everyone?
Okay. So to answer this question, I would say that once you talk about Web3, right? So It's more of a technical and like it's more of a technical thing, right? So to understand the products and technologies which is related to Web3, you have to be very you have to understand everything about programming, about software engineering, about these things, right? So I would say if we try to build products which are more user friendly, right, and the product which have a good user interface, right, like the current we have, like if you use a Facebook app, if you use a WhatsApp app, it's very user friendly, everyone can use it very easily, right? No one have to educate them to use the apps. So if we start building product like this, right, and if we start building product for user centric products, right, then obviously the adoption will increase, right, and people will start using those products because they serve the purpose, right, and they are solving their problems, right? So we have to find a way to basically build product which are more user accessible, right, and they are solving the exact problem with high efficiency, and obviously to by taking care of security and privacy of the user, right? So it basically, if you give something to users, they will definitely use it, right? So we have to build product like that, then the adoption will obviously increase.
Yeah, I am going to support that because the current structure of Web3 platforms we have, just you have very few of them that are user friendly.
Yeah,
A lot of them are a bit complicated. You have to be a computer literate to be able to maneuver this product or services from this
right.
Web3 producers. So it is important we have these simple apps that are Web3 inclined. So yeah, I'm going to support that user
Yeah.
friendly approach. Yeah. So the next question, this is also very interesting. How would Web3 impact the way we think about ownership and control of digital assets? Very interesting.
Yeah, I think when we talk about the ownership and control of digital assets, right? So, like, if you guys know how money works, right? So I think digital assets are nothing, just the tangible assets in term, like in normal world we have money, it would be dollar, it would be anything, right? But if you talk about digital assets, it could be a cryptocurrency, it could be Ethereum, it could be any token, or it could be any NFT, right? So suppose you build a good article, or suppose you build a good, if you're an artist, right, you build a good art piece, right, and you wanted to showcase the word that you own this particular thing, so you can just create an NFT for that, and then the ownership of that particular digital asset will remains to you. Now everyone knows, because it is on blockchain, right? So everyone knows that you are the owner of this particular asset, right? So, and you are the first person who basically deploys the asset, right? Even though there are going to be copies, right? So if it happens, like if there is a good art, there are basically copies of those arts, right? So but, and you are not able to distinguish, but in if it is supported with blockchain, it is being recorded everything on the transactions and blockchain, so you know which is the original piece, and who is the owner of that particular person, right? So the ownership factor here increases, right, in terms of digital asset and in terms of NFTs. And if I talk about cryptocurrencies, right, so your assets are being hold by a normal wallet, right? So you don't have to manage a lot of banks and everything. You can just use your tokens to pay anything, to pay anyone, right? And without bearing all those taxes and everything, right? So tax implication is just cut it away from the digital asset thing, right? So I think these, and then you also have this multi-sig thing, right? So where you can actually place multiple checks in your ownership, right? So you can be a owner uh, of your digital asset. You can place multiple people, like your assets can move only when these three people or two people can approve, right? So you can place a set of conditions like that. So I think I think that would answer this question. If you want to add, Paul, yeah, anything.
Yeah, I think it's very important to also know that uh, uh, digital assets ownership is made simple and easy by Web3, and for some reasons which I believe if you look into some projects where you see ownership proof of identity, they are now working on having your say your identity proven on blockchain. So you actually don't need to walk around maybe with your international passport. If that is actually
Yeah,
put in place to
right.
work, you can easily show them your what's it called your wallet key. I mean, what's it called? Your wallet address, and
Yeah,
that can be verified that okay, you're from here or there. So uh, ownership of assets is made easy by Web3. I think we have another question within from Astro, and his question. I think yeah, I'm going to allow you to answer, and then I'll also
yeah.
back up this. He's asking, is there a path to learn to become a software dev in core of blockchain?
Yeah. To answer that question, if you wanted to become a software engineer in a blockchain space, right, you have to understand and learn how blockchain works, like different language like Solidity, Viper works, right? And to support all those things, there are many YouTube contents out there. But if you're looking for something like a completely curated course, so community also has this Solidity course, right? So which we are running time to time to educate users, right? So you can probably join that course to become a software dev in a blockchain space. Or if you wanted to just go for a free option, you can just go on YouTube, search for all the courses available, right? And try to go through each and try to build products, right? Because if you wanted to become an engineer, you have to build some good products, right? That is the only way to learn things, right? So once you gain some theoretical knowledge through documentation, through videos, right? Try to do practicals, build products, and after a few time you will become a dev, right? So I think that would be the best way to go out.
Yeah, to buttress that, within our own community on Code Monk, we are
Yeah,
partnering different people, just like, I mean, different companies, just like we partner Community Dev to
yeah,
also help sharpening the skills of of our talents within the community. This can also be a path for you to take, and joining communities would actually help you become inclined in the Web3 space, and you are able to learn the core of
yeah,
Solidity within that. So there are different paths you can take, and thank you, Shaman, for that. Quickly, let's move on to the next question, and the next question says, "Can you describe some examples? Can you describe some example of successful Web3 projects or applications that are already in use today?"
yeah. Like there are a lot of applications that people are using today, right? So if you like there are a lot of decentralized exchanges out there. If you heard about Binance, if you heard about, right, like all those things are dealing with crypto. So they are basically the exchanges where you can buy and trade your cryptos, right? These are something that are out there, right? And these are being used by a lot of people. Then you have Uniswap. So Uniswap is basically a decentralized exchange where you can swap your tokens. Suppose you have a different company tokens and you wanted to get another company token, so you can exchange that in the Uniswap, right? Whatever the price is. And then there are like companies like the companies like DYDX, Index, and there are like lot of tools. There is also a tool I know that mirror.xyz. It is basically a blog writing tools. You can write article, and that is also it's like completely Web3 app, right? So you can like go out and search for a lot of app. There are a lot of apps which people are actually using it. And if you talk about the volume, like I might say there are like $1 billion of volume in the current situations. It might increase when we run the bull, when we hit the bull run and all. But yeah, people are using those apps. There are like lot of examples. So you can just go and search on the Google. I have given you some names. So yeah,
Yeah, to also buttress that, there are a lot of apps, even browsing apps like Brave. You also
yeah,
have other apps to check your what's it called, website ranking. It's called Similar Web. It's
yeah,
a Web3 app. So there are a lot of apps there that have been successful within the Web3 space, which you can use. And this app are seamless. You can actually go in there and make use of them. And you would actually see the difference and also see what it means to make use of a Web3 app. So
Yeah.
up next, how can Web3 be used to promote more decentralized and democratized system online?
Okay. Uh, okay. To answer this question, right? So if we to promote the decentralized softwares, right, what we
Yes,
can do is to show the difference, right? So suppose I would give you one example, right? So in current situation, suppose if you're using an app, right, it would be built by some company, and you are liking one feature, like, and what company did, it basically rolls out an update and they removed this feature, right, and you have no control over it, right? So this is what we are trying to change in decentralization. So when an app is decentralized, right, you as a contributor or as a user have some authority to actually take participate uh, uh, to participate in whatever decision company is making in the future developments of the app, right? So this is what decentralization is mean, like the distributing the power between everyone, right? So we can promote like this, that these apps are like doing whatever they want, the entity is centralized, they can either shut down the company next day and you will not do anything, right? You just want to quit and you cannot use that app, right? But if you are working on a decentralized app, right, it is being controlled by the everyone, right? Everyone has to take like there has to be 51% votes to actually make some decision, right? So it depends on the company to company, right? And if we talk about the democratic system, right, so I think what democratic means is like we have like voting systems and all those stuff, right? So we can probably make them decentralized so that uh, user will know like what kind of like voting system can be more transparent, right? I guess so I think these way we can promote more decentralized apps and democratic system, I guess. Like
yeah.
yeah.
No, you can go on. You can go on.
Yeah, like I'm done, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, let's move on to the next questions. And I hope our audience are actually enjoying this. And please put in your question in the chat box if you
Yeah.
have any question, and I'm going to read that out. So moving quickly, can you describe some potential ethics consideration associated with the use of Web3 technologies?
Uh, okay. So when we talk about ethical consideration associated with the use of Web3, okay. Uh, I think to answer this, I'm actually not getting any point right now, but yeah, like if you're using an app, right? So if we are talking about Web3 technologies, right? So once you are using an app, you have to be like read about that, right? How you need to use it properly, right? Uh, uh, yeah, I think yeah that we can do. Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
actually not sure about this question a lot, right? So
okay. Okay, well, I
yeah.
think that would actually be the right thing to do.
Mm,
For you to actually start using any app, you need to
yeah,
quite understand what the app does and the permission it's actually granted if it's on your phone, the permission you are granting to the app and stuffs like that. You need to quite understand it and before you
yeah.
start making use of such app. 16, how can Web3 be used to promote great transparency and accountability in online interactions?
Yeah, I think this is a good question, right? So when we talk about blockchain is basically a technology which supports this Web3 architecture, right? And when we talk about transparency and accountability, so if your app is built upon blockchain, right? So everything is being tracked and public, right? So now if your data is public, right, everyone can see that data, and they will know that if suppose I'm make consider that, consider a company, right, and they are running a payroll, right, so there is someone who is approving those payroll, and then we are transferring those money to someone else, right. So all these things are being recorded on the blockchain, right. So if there is any malicious activity happens, right, so everyone knows that these are the users who approve these transactions, so there is transparency, right. And if you if there is transparency, then it obviously increases the accountability, because you know that if I'm going to make any mistake, if I'm going to make any vulnerable activity, I'm going to track, I'm going to track away, right. So if there is transparency, it obviously increases the accountability thing, right. So you are more accountable to your work right now, because you know that you have been tracked by the features of this blockchain, because it is transparent and publicly available, right. So it obviously increases the accountability in a person for work, right. So I think that that's how Web3 can promote the transparency and accountability in terms of using a blockchain, right. So yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to support that. Every transaction on or interaction on three are transparent and visible to everyone. So next, we'll move on to how will Web3 impact the way we think about financial institutions online? I think this is another very interesting question. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, like if we talk about financial institution, right? So I think finance is the one of the first application of Web3, right? And like they are revolutionizing the finance in a very good way, right? So if you go out and check for the decentralized finance, we have like lots of I guess more than hundreds of application built upon the finance, right? And uh, when it comes to the fine Web3, right. So suppose uh currently in other countries, like in every countries, we have different currencies, right. Whenever you are going to some different place, you have to deal with forex exchanges, you have to deal with transaction fees, you have to deal with taxes, all those things, right. When it comes to the crypto, right, it is a single piece of digital asset that you hold. Suppose if you're having Ethereum and someone is taking Ethereum in exchange of any assets, right, in exchange of any good, you can use it anywhere in the world, right. It's a unique currency, right. You can use the Ethereum, you can use the Bitcoin anywhere in the world without thinking of the forex exchange prices, without thinking of the taxes that you are going to pay. So all those things are basically eliminated. It's just having a single currency which is secure, which is basically transparent, and then it is being used by everyone, right. And there are if you talk about the current financial system, right, you have lots of limitations and everything out there, right. But in Web3, you can just create a transaction of $1 million, even $1 million, and you can just pay any person in just a second, right. So it's ease of access for users like who are dealing with like big parties, right, who are dealing with lot of money and everything, right, and they don't want to get tracked that whom they are paying, right. So it basically adds things, it basically add up things on that front in terms of financial things, right. So I think Web3 is going to be a game changer in in terms of financial. So yeah.
Yeah, that is a very good, wonderful response, and I believe Web3 is just what we need at this current dispensation. So I move on to the next, and then this next question is almost similar to what Axtro
Yeah.
has asked earlier, and he mentioned, I mean, it says, can you describe some potential risks associated with the use of Web3 technology as
Yeah.
security, vulnerability, or scams?
Yeah, right. So yeah, obviously there are some potential risk and vulnerabilities associated to any Web3 app you are using, because well, let me tell you why. So there is a wallet which you can use to interact with any Web3 application. You might heard about a blockchain wallet. It can be MetaMask, it can be any other wallet. So it is holding your money, right? So if you have Ethereum, if you have any tokens, right? So those tokens are basically accessible by your wallet. And anyone, if he is getting access of your wallet, right, they can remove your funds. They can basically fetch all your funds, and they can just scam you, right? So and what you can do is basically, if you're signing a message, so there is a term called signing. So using your wallet, if you're signing in any websites or app using your wallet, you have to be very secure, like what data you are signing. Signing is basically just giving permission to someone else, right? So if you're, suppose you're using an third party application which is being developed by some any arbitrary or any random stranger, right? And you just go on that application and attach your wallet and sign a particular data, right? So it might happen that you will give access of your wallet to that person, and then this person can fetch all your funds. So in those scenarios, you have to be very secure when you're using any applications. Just see that if it is by the trusted source, right? If it is being trusted by some user, if it has some good reviews, all those stuff, right? If it has good some transaction volume, if it passes all those things, then again you can check if whatever you are signing with your wallet, you just need to check what data you are allowing. What you can just read it, it's very readable. So yeah, these are the set of implications, and like what you can take to reduce the scams and vulnerabilities, but there are always the potential risks associated with these things. But once you are educated enough to deal with all these things, you are good to go.
Yeah, I think I'm going to buttress more on that point. Uh, while I got into Web3 and I was making use of the apps,
Yeah,
I found out that I signed something and on my wallet, and initially I didn't notice. It was when I looked in
yeah,
back and found that my uh, tokens are gone. So what you need
yeah,
to do most times, if you are trying to, or if you are new, make sure you have different wallets.
yeah,
Like me, what I have like 4 to 5 wallets, and 3 of them are for testing. I actually don't put my real funds in those wallets. I just use it to test and maybe have some few tokens in there. So to
yeah,
not fall for this, because there are a lot of clone websites out there claiming to be another people that you believe are trusted.
yeah,
So not to fall for this, please have as many as possible wallets that you can use to test an app before you start using your main wallet to actually do that. Or you can even use that same wallet to just test, and then if it works, then you can continually use it rather than having your main wallet, because these things are numerous out there, so one needs to be careful. Yeah, every technology comes with its hazard. So yeah, that is that. The next question would be, how can Web3 be used to promote great sensitivity, inclusivity,
mm,
sorry, and
yeah.
diversity online?
Yeah, I guess when we talk about the diversity and inclusivity, right? So uh, technology is something that anyone can build upon, right? So uh, like it does not matter you are from which place, what you are as a person, right? You can build upon any like kind of blockchain. You can build products, you can just promote your products to any users, right? And even inclusivity also comes that place, right? If you are being part of any decentralized application, right? So you are being included in their decision making and everything, because you are basically the part of that company. As a consumer also, even if you are consuming that application, still you are a part of that company, and you can take participate in votings, and you can do like if there is any feature changes and anything happening, you can participate in that. So it's basically adding the inclusivity to the users who are using the applications also. Like in current typical world, you are the only you are only the users. Yeah, you do not participate in the development of the company, in the development of the app, right? But as you in Web3, it supports you to be inclusive in those things, right? So I think that adds. And in terms of diversity, right, also, so it has like lot of potential, right? So like Web3 space is like covering lot of art like sectors, right? It will be health sector, it will be like other things, right? So it is diversified also. So I guess, yeah, this answers your question.
Yeah, yeah, it does. So to the last final question, and then we open the floor for the audience to ask their question. So how can an individual, how can an
Mm,
individual an organization prepare for the adoption of Web3 technology and stay up to date on the
Yeah.
latest development in the field?
Right. When we talk about the adoption, right? So if like Web3, we most of us believe that Web3 is going to be a future technology, right? Currently, it's in revolutionizing state, and some people are supporting it, some people are like against it, right? But the people that are completely into it, they believe that this is going to be a revolutionized technology, and it is going to be boom in few years, right? So if you wanted to start as an individual, as an organization, right, what you can do, like you can start building products, you can start understanding this technology, right? And if you wanted to keep you up to date, just read some articles, good articles out there, people are actually posting on those things, right? And then go with the documentation of the products and everything, right? And as an organization, if you're building some products, right, you can actually think for a moment that if your product can be built upon Web3, if it benefits more on Web3 rather than building on a Web2 architecture, right? So if that's so, like if like as Astro asked, like can an e-commerce will be built upon Web3? So we can just think about that, right? If building an e-commerce on Web3 give us any advantage, we can surely do that, right? But if it's not giving any advantage, then we can just keep it to the Web2, right? So it's basically that we have to take some decisions and start learning about it, right? And to make you up to date, just go through articles, stuffs out there, follow some good YouTube channels. You in Twitter, follow some good persons who are basically keep posting about those things, right? And yeah, try to do attend hackathons and everything, all those stuff. So yeah, I think that would be the best way to do.
Yeah, I agree. And with that, that is our last question.
Yeah,
Looking to the community, I mean to the audience, if you have any question, please you can type it in the chat box so that we can get to answer your question if you have any. But while we're waiting for those question, I just quickly want to, this is just more like a bonus question. So I came across an article, I think some months back, and while I
yeah,
was reading from Jack Ma, the former Twitter owner, and he mentioned he's already developing a Web5.
yeah,
What is
yeah.
your take on that?
Sorry, can you just repeat that last thing?
Yeah, I said I came across an article, and the former owner of Twitter mentioned he's already developing Web5. What's your take on that? Because I'm not sure people are fully understanding or have fully embraced Web3, and there's talk of Web5. Well, what do you think about that?
Yeah, like I'm not sure about that, like if it is going to be a Web5 or Web3, right? But yeah, like if we talk about solidity development, I think it is going to be a good thing for sure, right? Because it supports a lot of things that not that the typical Web2 architecture does not supports, right? And it is going to be a future, I guess. I'm not sure about like how it like everyone is just seeing right out there. They're trying to scale the architecture and just seeing how it works out, right? So yeah, it's like that. But down the line, 5 to 10 years, we'll be seeing, right, like all those things actually make sense, and we are just working on those things, right? So I think
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I agree with you. So with that, we've come to a wrap up for today. I want to
yeah,
thank Krishna Shaman for attending. He's the CTO, co-founder of Community Deep. And Krishna, if you have any closing remarks, and you can also maybe tell us a bit more about Community Deep, since we have some of the deep in here. Yeah,
yeah.
you can also talk about yeah. Thank
Yeah, I just wanted to say that if you guys wanted to go out and learn Solidity and blockchain development, just look out for some courses. If you wanted to join community.dev, we have courses for Solidity development and all, right? And I wanted to thank Paul for hosting this session, and all the Code Monk team for this session. Thank you so much. Yeah, that's all.
Yeah, thank you so
Thank you,
much,
guys.
and I appreciate all attendees. You guys are great, and thank you. We are going to be hosting another section.
Yeah,
Just be on the lookout for this in the Discord channel, and make sure you always check in the
yeah.
calendar events so that you can have an update about events like this. Thank you, everyone, for coming to this event. And from me and from the team, Code Monk, we thank you and have a great day. Bye. Bye, everyone.